Hello and welcome to week 3. Week 3 is the week of energy consumption, and I'm very excited to be here with you to talk about the philosophical issues behind the issue of energy consumption. So the very first thing you need to think about when you're talking about energy consumption is that if you're carrying weight, as most people watching this video will be, then you'll be in a situation where you literally are carrying with you every day an enormous quantity of energy. So fat equals energy, sugar equals energy, and the sugar and fat are largely interchangeable, and we'll be talking about that a lot more in the science video. However, for the purpose of what we're talking about, it's really important to get that feeling that you are actually carrying around with you at all times an enormous reservoir of energy. And the question has to be asked is, why aren't we using it? So why is it that our bodies are deciding that they don't want to use this energy? An allied question to that is just how much energy do we need to store? So given that we live in 2014, 2015 nearly, as I'm making this video, we're living in this time of absolute ease of finding food. So food is inexpensive in almost all cultures in the world today, barring poor people who are living in sub-Saharan Africa and that type of thing. However, for most people, food is extremely available, and the energy that's available from the food is extremely available to us as well. So given these conditions and these experiences, and our bodies know this, where our unconscious minds know that we can easily get to the supermarket and purchase food, why is it that we're choosing to actually hold on to all this energy? So just how much energy do we need to store? Why do we need to store so much energy? So running on from that is the next question, which is, having stored all this energy, so we've got all this energy stored, why are we so reluctant to release it? Why are we so reluctant to actually use it? Our body has a perfect mechanism to convert the energy which is stored as fat back into the sugar, which is actually used for your everyday energy requirements. Why is your body not actually doing this? So like, you have the perfect mechanism. So your body is perfectly adapted to transforming this energy which is stored as fat back into the available sugar energy, which your body needs to do most of the things that it needs energy for. Why is it not letting it go? Why is your body not actually releasing that energy and making it available? At the same time, as I don't need to tell you, I'm sure that as you've been growing older, you've been getting less and less and less energy. And indeed, even amongst young people, so we're talking about people with who are suffering from childhood obesity, which is an explosion around the world today, they suffer from exactly the same thing, is that they have no energy. They're absolutely listless. They've got no get up and go at all. So why is this happening? We have the perfect mechanism within our bodies for exactly the reverse to happen, for us to be able to have a completely abundant amount of energy actually available to us to use at any one time. Why are we holding on to it? Why are we not actually utilizing these perfect mechanisms which we actually have within our body? So within your body right now, you have the perfect mechanism for doing it, and yet your body is choosing not to do it. These are the questions that we need to ask. So when we go into it, the story gets even more involved, because we need to actually ask the question of, perhaps it is, in your case, a matter of actually not wanting to have abundant energy. So where are the little cues actually underneath all of your your operation, how you're being and how you're behaving? What reasons might there be for you not to actually want to have abundant energy? So if you had abundant energy, what would you be doing or be able to do that you're not feeling that you have the energy to be able to do right now? So what things which require energy might you be choosing not to be near? So let's have a go at answering some of these questions. So on the subject of scarcity and abundance, it's a modern pop culture thing that we talk about. Everybody's talking about this idea that we live in a world of abundance, and yet we don't feel that way at all. We do not feel as though we're living in a world of abundance. In fact, we feel completely the reverse. We feel total scarcity. So the way our culture is set up, particularly with things like the profit motive actually driving things, so this is the motivation that one person is going to do better than another, so we have an interchange that's going on. Our entire economy is based on the idea that we're going to take profit from one another. What that breeds, that actually breeds the concept of scarcity. It breeds the idea that some people are going to hold a whole lot of resources and other people will have less and less resources, and this is an increasing and ongoing problem. So that cultural expectation around abundance and scarcity, which is a reality in terms of how people are experiencing their lives and their interrelationships with their communities and their culture, that's at stark, it's starkly against the truth, which is that we actually have abundant energy available to us. And everybody watching this video is able to go to a supermarket and connect with any kind of imaginable amount of energy, food energy, that you could ever need. And yet, because of these connections between scarcity and abundance, we're not actually seeing the fact that there is this abundance actually sitting out there in the supermarket. It's a 5-minute drive for most people to get to as much food as you could ever imagine. So having a look at this question of how much energy do we need to store, well, there are some biological things. And, for example, most people could store enough fat energy, for example, to go for roughly a year without eating again. So apart from the obvious vitamin requirements and micronutrient requirements that you would need to be taking in that period, generally speaking, a person could store enough fat energy on their body to last them a year. So that's a tremendous long time that we're talking about here. In terms of sugar energy, generally speaking, your body can store around about 10-12 hours of sugar energy in your body. And indeed, many of the things that we actually see going on physiologically within your body are related to the experience of actually going to the point where the sugar gets depleted, fully depleted out of your body. And I'm going to be talking a bit more about this in the science section on that tomorrow. But nonetheless, you can see that even if you're only talking about sugar, you've still got 12 hours there at any one time. And if you're talking about fat, it's at least months, if not, perhaps if you're a very large person, it could be up to a year. So really, given that we can get to the supermarket and get food anytime we want, just how much energy do we need to store? Well, a week, 2 weeks, something like that, or a month perhaps. For that stray occurrence where you actually do end up shipwrecked and you end up on an abandoned island somewhere or something like that. It's a mad thought. It's a mad thought to think that you actually need to hold on to more than a couple of weeks of energy on your body, actually stored on your body. So we briefly touched on this idea of why we're so reluctant to use this energy, to actually expend it. But there can be very many, what we would call 8 chakra or deep down reasons why we might be reluctant to give up this energy within the body. And they relate to our species memory and also our epigenetic memories. So the species memory has, we've not always been in this world of complete food abundance that we have at the moment. In fact, for most of the 100,000 years or so that modern humans have been around, there hasn't been this abundance of food at all times available to them at all. Not at all the same experience. So we have this species memory, which is deeply buried within our DNA, which says that you better hang on to this food. You had better hang on to as much of this energy as you can possibly do, because there might be a poor harvest coming. Now, the extent to which that we're taking this signaling that's coming through literally and behaving in this way where we're just going to store energy till the end of time is completely mad, and it's not remotely healthy for us. So the last question I posed there, which was around the idea that are there reasons why we might not choose to actually have abundant energy available to us? So, you know, why is it that we might not want to have lots and lots of energy available? The key one that I'm aware of and that we certainly do focus on within the protocol is that we just don't want to keep facing what we've got to face every day. And so by reducing the amount of available energy, it begins to shut down all our biological systems, and the whole aging process begins to kick in earnest, so that we really begin to shut down and age, and you know, we're heading towards death effectively. So this is the number one key critical reason why people don't want to have abundant energy, is that they don't want to keep living. And so therefore what we need to be doing, and indeed what we're focusing on within the protocol, is actually having an extremely healthy view of the process of being alive. So why you want to be alive, because having abundant energy is closely related to the question of the desire to live. So I hope you found that useful and interesting. We're going to be running some further webinars on this subject, because it's a very big subject, and I need to be able to have some question and answer process going on with you during that time. I urge you to reflect on what we're talking about. Have a look at the comments that are arising within the Facebook group. I'm sure you'll find that very useful. And of course it helps me for you to actually feed back into that Facebook group as well. So look forward to hearing from you, and you know, best wishes with having this abundance of energy and being prepared to consume it. So being prepared to abundantly consume that energy. Thanks for watching.